everybody. Thank you for watching again. We're now talking to a new group. This group actually, I believe, is all from Harvard. If I'm wrong, correct me in a little bit. Almost all from Harvard, but we'll find out exactly in a second where everybody is from. But this is another bounty hack team that built something amazing that we're going to go ahead and find out more about. So first, introduce yourselves, correct me where you actually are from, what school you actually go to, and kind of tell me your background.
Who wants to go first?
You can.
Okay, I'll go. I'm Rayhan. I'm the only one not from Harvard here. I go to NYU, but I live around the Boston area. Yeah, I'm studying CS and math.
Awesome. Charles?
Yeah, I am from Harvard. I'll be a sophomore next year. We don't declare until next year, but I'm leaning probably CS. We'll see. We'll see if I get swayed sometime this semester.
Really cool. Ash?
Yeah, also from Harvard. Rayhan's brother, going to be a sophomore next year. Came in thinking about UConn, but at this point, it's probably some combo of stats and CS. So
cool. Jeremy?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Jeremy. I'm also from Harvard, and I'm pretty sure I'll declare into CS unless some major persuasion happens. Yeah, excited to talk more about our project.
Awesome. So I know that you're all going to college, but did any of you code or learn how to code before you started?
I only started learning how to code like maybe a year ago, maybe like at this point, a little bit over a year ago. But it's been quite a journey. I originally went into college thinking about like pre-med and med school stuff, but made a pretty big shift over to comp sci and math. But I've loved getting to learn a lot about CS and now applying that stuff to blockchain work, and getting to do bounty hacks was like a great addition to that.
That's awesome. How about anybody else? Coding before college or starting right when you started?
Yeah, I had some exposure. I took like an AP comp sci class. I thought that was really fun, but in high school I was a huge, like, I did debate. I did like a government internship. So I didn't really know if I was going to go into CS or not. And then I just started coding like basically like the summer before college, just at lockdown, just like playing around a lot. And then really enjoyed just like CS 50, like the intro course at Harvard, and then just kind of going from there.
Awesome. So have any of you done anything with blockchain before the Bounty Hack project? No. So
I've heard of it before.
You've heard of the blockchain. Amazing.
I think
Jeremy and I actually did we were in this like entrepreneurship like startup sort of club at Harvard first semester and second semester, and we were both working with a like crypto VC in the first semester. So that's how we like learned a lot about just like how the ecosystem works, and like first learned about DeFi and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, but nothing technical. So this is definitely the first.
So welcome to the blockchain world. Nice to have you. Hope that you enjoyed your first experience, and hope that you stay here. But let's talk more about the project that you guys chose. What project you built?
We decided to go with staged approval for crowdfunding, which was a project that really interested all of us because it kind of combined a lot of what we knew about tech in the first place. Like we all kind of like growing up and in high school saw like people trying to crowdfund ideas, and it was something that's like been pretty much there with us for a lot of our time in high school and when we were getting exposure to the tech world. So being able to do a project that kind of was at the intersection of that and with blockchain work, which we were all kind of interested in getting into, but we didn't know really where to start, was pretty interesting. It was also kind of like a relatively easy to understand idea. Like we are all pretty familiar with how like crowdfunding works, and we were all kind of also familiar with some of the detriments, which is it's hard to verify that people are meeting deadlines and stuff. So the project seemed like a pretty much a silver bullet for that.
Really cool. So tell me about your experience. Who focused on the blockchain side? Who focused on the website? Who, did you guys take a mixture of both?
Yeah, so I can jump into this a little bit. I think initially it was a little bit of chaos and frenzy, just trying to figure out how everything is, with just us being so new to like the blockchain space overall. But kind of towards the end, I mean, with any like bounty hack project, it's chaos all the way through. But towards the end, we kind of broke into different roles. So Rayhan and I did a lot of the work on the back using Reach to work out that smart contract. And Charles and Ash did a lot of work on the front end to make that really beautiful website. And I guess we all like worked on a little bit of everything. So to like do that definite like segmentation would, not be very accurate either.
Awesome. Did you guys ever end up hosting it anywhere, or is it just still local on your GitHub repos?
It's still local. We were looking into hosting it like a little bit later on, but we still haven't made any like definitive decisions about that.
So how was it? How was learning blockchain? Was it fun? Was it hard? Did Reach make it easy? Did Reach make it hard? Tell me about it.
I think like I always like my first impression of it is just like, wow, it's like cutting edge tech. Just like you think for like a lot of these things that emerge, you're like, wow, it's probably useful. It's probably also very difficult to learn. Like there's no chance that I could get involved with it or like do it. And like I said, this hackathon was like the first way for us to like totally get involved with it. I think it ended up being a lot more intuitive than I thought, like genuinely, especially with just writing like with Reach, like being able to write something out. I think the tutorial, even before we started our project, just like in like a 2-hour sitting, just being able to write something that works and like seeing everything pop up and like actually like doing like transactions with like Ethereum, like on a test net or something. I thought it was yeah, pretty cool.
All of those theorems, and it does it in a way where it like reasons about them instead of like running through all the different combinations. I think that's like the coolest thing ever.
Well, let's dig into that a bit more. What do you I know what you mean by that, but maybe the people that are watching don't really fully understand what you mean.
Yeah, so again, like my understanding is probably not as good as yours, but
I hope not. But that's okay.
Yeah, I think where it really shines is for our application. At one point, we had like a couple different branches, and at one point, I think it was verifying like 500 something theorems, and to like enumerate through all of the different combinations for that, like just compiling the program, like if that wasn't there, that would have like taken forever just to like go through all the different combinations and make sure everything worked out. But
yeah,
the magic that you do, makes it really fast.
Yeah, me and Jeremy were kind of like sitting there one night, and I remember just like us having this conversation about how cool it was that it checked like all of these theorems like pretty accurately and didn't really leave anything any stone unturned. And another thing is that it caught mistakes that we just had no idea existed. Like a few times when it was like failing some theorems, we were like, oh my God, we didn't even think that somebody could theoretically do this, which would like break the contract. And it like
not just break the contract, but most likely lock lots of money into your contract.
Yeah. And it like forced us to think a little bit more critically about how we chose to like design our project theoretically. Just like from an architecture standpoint, Reach was like pretty helpful, which is one place I think that it was really interesting to work with Reach, because like it really helps development, not only like as a programming language, but also like in terms of just thinking through how your application should be designed, implemented, and eventually like run.
Yeah, cool. I agree with all those things. Basically, yeah, it's the main thing that should really kind of let people know is that our theorem prover is not testing. It's not unit testing. We're not. People aren't creating like tests and verifying. And I think it was Dijkstra said that the only thing that testing can prove is the existence of bugs, not the absence of bugs. Yeah. And that's the benefits of formal verification, is that you can actually prove the absence of bugs because it proves that your code will do it exactly as you expect in all potential realities. And that's where no stone unturned, and it's super powerful. So I'm glad you noticed that. A lot, like, that's one of our worries that new developers coming in, especially without experience with blockchain, that they miss that whole part. They're like, why is this compiler making us do this thing? It feels like I'm so restricted. But in reality, if it didn't do that, you would launch your application and lose all your money. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that you understood that part as much. Cool. So what's next? Like did the blockchain bug bite you, or do you need more time, or what do you guys think? I want an answer from everybody, so don't worry about who goes first.
Yeah.
Jeremy or Charles, you haven't talked in a while.
Yeah. I think that, so I've had some exposure to blockchain, but it wasn't technical at all. I did some research for like a consulting type case thing. It seemed super hard. I hear like I was like proposing all these things about smart contracts. I had no idea how they actually worked on a technical perspective. And just like using Reach, I think the best part, like when both Ash and I were working on like with like the React front end, is just like the ability to just receive data from the back end and like see where parts of the front end were matching up to parts of the back end was super, super cool. Like abstracting away a lot of the technical stuff of implementing a smart contract, right? Like all of this ease of use, it just made it was a lot different than what I imagined just like building on smart contracts or like working with a blockchain would happen. It just felt like standard coding, like something that I could do in like a CS class in university. So it was just like, it was super cool to see how blockchain was like all the stuff that is different about blockchain and smart contracts was kind of turned into like the same language that every single programmer speaks. And I think that's super powerful. There's a lot, I mean, just like building off of this, the reason why I think I didn't explore a lot of like blockchain stuff is because it's super intimidating. And just like having done Reach, like it's a big incentive to like explore maybe the rest of the world. Like maybe if you venture a couple more steps in, there's a lot to learn.
There is tons of fun stuff. Excellent. Thank you, Charles. How about you, Rayhan?
Yeah, so I agree a lot with what Charles said. It kind of just like took the veil off of what like blockchain is as a space. Like before coming into Bounty Hacks and using Reach, it felt like very intimidating. Like there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of like steps to learn, and it's also like you're like dealing with finance, so there's that whole aspect to it where like it's kind of intimidating to like build an application and like risk actual capital with like trying to develop. But with Reach is kind of like frame for development and also testing and they're improving, etc. It makes a lot of that like easier and less intimidating. So I will definitely be doing more in the blockchain space, I think, in the future. It's made me pretty interested in it, and I think like I'll definitely be looking into more projects in the future.
Awesome. Ash, how about you?
Yeah, I won't say too much because I largely agree with what Charles and Rayhan said. Just adding on to what Charles said at the start, when he was like, this is very similar to just like the ability using Reach. Like you can write like something in a few days or a few like hours, even if it's very simple, like decentralized application. That like 100% resonated with me. It's like you come into this thinking it's like a lot of developers spending a lot of time working on like just again, which is true. Like there are large scale applications that people build that take forever, but like me, just like a person who just started like getting into this, can like actually build something that is like either a cool game or like a pretty basic like finance application, like what we did with crowdfunding. You can do that in like a weekend, 100%. And I think that just breaks down a lot of the barriers. Also, I think just one thing that stood out to me, like just more that I didn't know was even like a use case sort of, or like just such a powerful area of all of this is just like, because these are decentralized in nature, because you have smart contracts versus just like anything else, it's like, that there are so many opportunities for just ensuring security, ensuring like no actor can like, I don't know, like maliciously like attack something or like whoever the centralized entity would like in traditional crowdfunding, whoever that centralized entity is can't like mess with anybody's funds or do anything. Like that level of security is very powerful. So I think that's something that's going to stick with me.
Awesome. Jeremy.
Yeah, I think for me, largely the same sentiment as my other teammates here. I think something else to add though is, working in a club that like, does consulting for VC, like over like the 2 semesters at Harvard, we're always kind of trained to like think about the trends, think about like long term, and think about things that can like get really big when they're like really small right now. And I think with blockchain and smart contract development, that's one of those things for sure. And like for us, we missed like the rise of the internet in the early 2000s, but like, this might be the next like rise of the internet type thing. And I want to be there and like kind of be along for the journey.
I mean, you guys have probably seen me stand on my soapbox and talk about how blockchain is the future. So I agree 100% there. And I did actually live through the internet. So I've seen them both now. I'm really excited for what blockchain is going to bring. So thank you, all of that. So to summarize, all of you got bit by the blockchain bug and you're in it for life, right?
Yep.
Even if that's not true, I'm believing that. So I'm going to let you guys know, because I think it's very important, is that Bounty Hack is not the last step. I mean, like there's lots of more opportunity. If you want to take this project to the next step, you can, talk to me. I would love to actually see where you want to go with it. Potentially more grants. If you want to stay in it and you want to actually get paid for the resources, we have opportunities where there's a lot of different options. So we want to see you in the community. We want to see you keep building. So make sure that you are. Best way to reach out to me is through DM on our Discord. I'll be happy to actually answer any questions and tell you how to get that, start that next project. So last thing I actually ask everybody is, there's going to be new people. We're adding new people all the time. What is a tip that you would give them on what to absolutely do to make sure that they start off on the right foot?
All right, I'll just say something that's probably general advice, but particularly helpful when you're trying to integrate a front end, as like Charles and I ran into. Just like make sure that you follow the tutorial or like actually understand what it's doing. Like a lot of the earlier ones, before you get to the front end step, it like really handholds you and walks you through it. So even if you are like half consciously going through it, you will understand it enough that you can like write it up and you can like look back at it and understand it. But for the front end part, at least, you got to make sure you at least if you're like me and you didn't even know React that well before going into this, like just make sure that you go through it and you understand like what each line is doing, because it's very different from like the MJS file, like what you might have originally had with just like building a terminal only app. So just make sure you follow that carefully.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. We had like the tutorial took place when we were all in like final exams.
I remember.
And so like while we were working through the tutorial, like it was really tempting to just, like look through the tutorial. It's really helpful. It's just like, it literally tells you what this line of code is doing, and then you just kind of copy and paste. That's not what you should be doing, because Ash and I had to spend a lot of time going back, working through everything, actually understanding. It's not just building like a traditional front end, because there are a lot of things built into React that you have to understand, like how will this then send data back to the front end? What is this going, like, there are a lot of things that you're going to have to understand about React, even if you're just like building reach, sorry, even if you're just building like a front end. And it's just, yeah, the tutorial is really great. Work through it in depth and actually understand it.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times, I mean, even in the tutorial, it says, don't copy and paste this, because everybody does. Because like the tutorial is actually made from like a top or bottom up learning experience, where we try to teach you every single line and why you put it in. And I am pretty sure that every single time I've asked this question, the answer has always been, actually do the tutorial. And it's so true. Just do the damn tutorial and you'll be fine. Rayhan, Jeremy, do you have any tips?
Yeah, so I would say like this is also kind of a general like CS or like starting a project tip, but like don't be afraid of iteration. Don't be afraid of like scrapping it and like starting it again. And like you're not really like, one thing that was kind of useful for us is like when we had to, in some cases, like scrap a large chunk of code and rewrite it, you're not losing that code. You're gaining the experience you got while writing it. And now you're writing something that's correct. But it can feel like you're cutting off a limb, like when you're deleting a file or something like that you spent like hours on. But I would say don't be afraid of iteration. Don't be afraid of starting over sometimes and rewriting a large chunk of it and taking the knowledge you got and just like fixing what you had.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Jeremy.
I'd say good advice from everyone so far. I think for me, this is more of a general tip with learning anything new in computer science. And I wouldn't say this is my own tip. This is something I received from a friend at Harvard, which is there's a rule that roughly for every 1 hour of tutorial that you watch, you should spend like 10 hours playing with it and like tinkering with it and seeing all the ways you can break it. And I think just that balance between like doing that, like the 1 hour to 10 hour ratio is really helpful for me, and especially just to get that hands-on and like play with it, break it, get frustrated, but then figure it out. That's probably the advice I would give.
All of you, great advice. So those are all my questions. Just want to thank you again. I urge you to think about what the next project is. Happy to even actually brainstorm with you as well. So thank you, and have a great, is it weekend yet? No, almost weekend. So thanks so much.